Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is, and I'm here talking with the one, the only Mr. Hobo Johnson for an exclusive interview live over FaceTime. This is going to be a pretty basic kind of primer, get to know you kind of segment for me. Since I've heard your music before, but I still don't know a lot about you personally, other than what I've read online. And I don't want to take just the things that I read about you on the internet as face value. I mean, you know that there's probably a whole range of things written about you online, some of which is very positive, some of which is very negative, which of course we'll get into. But first, just to
Sick.
kind of kick things off, like, who the hell is Hobo Johnson? Who is he?
Uh,
Who's that guy?
I guess he's a dude. That's me. 23 years old, musician from Sacramento, California, home of Death Grips. Normal.
Is that what it says on the sign going into
Yeah.
Sacramento? Like when you drive in, welcome to Sacramento, the
Yeah.
home of death grips.
In all caps and exclamation points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just a music guy. I think there's nothing else other than that. I make music. I'm 23. That's pretty much all there is about me.
Well, obviously, there was a point in your life before where you are right now. Like, what brought you to where you are now? Were you born and raised in Sacramento? Did you go to school in the area? Did you go to a class to learn how to hold the phone or keep a phone propped up? No, I'm breaking your balls. But, did you go to school in the area? Did you decide that you were going to kind of drop everything and pursue music? Do you have numerous irons in the fire? Like, what brought you to the point where you are now, and what are you currently kind of aspiring toward?
Yeah, I grew up. I was raised in San Jose until I was like 5, and then I moved to a town called Loomis, which is about 30 minutes north of downtown Sacramento. Lived there until I was like 15, and then I moved to like Pocket, which is an area inside of Sacramento, and then made music. I was playing video games, and I realized how dumb that is to just play video games all the time. So I picked up a keyboard and started playing, and then moved back to the Loomis area. I got kicked out of my house. So I went into my car. I had nowhere else to go other than live in my car, and I made my first album, which was called Hobo Johnson's 1994 Toyota Corolla, which I produced in the car, and then wrote it about living in the car and things like that. And then got a place in Sacramento right after that, and then just playing around, played open mics and street performed and stuff. And then one time I decided I was going to school for music and working full time at a warehouse, and then I realized like how much I just hated my whole fucking life. So then I quit, and my rent was $300 in Sacramento. So I street performed and went to open mics to live. So I needed $17 a day, and I did that, and that was kind of like my entrance into like knowing that being a musician is like what I want to do is um, the full like giving myself to the idea, I guess. So then just kept playing open mics more and more after that, and made the 17, and then just started playing around more. Then released live from Oak Park, which is a video series we did. Signed a management deal that turned out to be fucking terrible, and then a year and 2 months later, this happens, which is
So the sound that you currently have, which I'm referring mostly to the sound, of the vibe, to the style that you deliver on that live at Oak Park album, and that that Bandcamp release that you have. To get to that point, sort of early on in some of those productions that you were making in the car, or what you were doing at these open mic performances and stuff like that, did it take you a while to kind of progress to the style or the sound that you're at right now, or did you already kind of have a vague idea going into it that you wanted to create this kind of crossroads of folk music, hip hop music, slam poetry, and so on and so forth?
no, it just kind of changed into that. Like I never had the idea. I think it was a lot of just the influences that I listened to. Like right around the time I was writing the Rise, I listened to Benjamin Clementine like all the time, just over and over and over again. So it kind of that influenced me and made me realize like how beautiful a piano is. And then lyrics wise, like listening to like folk punk, like the Front Bottoms, Ramshackle Glory, like AJJ, kind of influenced the more honest songwriting. So I think it was all just a progression. I don't think I was consciously doing it. It was just more natural than
Hmm.
anything.
Yeah, because I've seen some people sort of just like throwing this criticism at you that you're just like disrespecting or just like ripping off slam poetry or hip hop culture when it seems like you've been kind of coming at it from a little bit more of a folk punk angle and like almost like a performance art kind of angle, rather
Right.
than just like trying to be some rap star or something.
Totally. I think it doesn't even really sound like hip hop that much. Like there's some songs that aren't even hip hop. Like it's I don't know if I'm trying to rip anything off. I feel like it's such like a I think it's a different style of music, so how could that be like ripping something off? It's kind of strange.
Well, that and even though there has been kind of that negative backlash from the hip hop community, there also has been sort of an infatuation with you in it as well. I mean, there have been a fair number of writers and tastemakers. I believe DJ Booth even wrote a piece about you saying like, "Oh, I thought trying out Hobo Johnson, I'd hate his stuff, but honestly, like, I can't dislike it. It's not that bad." So even though I don't necessarily see what you're doing as an expression of rap music, it seems like there's a strong interest in you from that community, both negative and positive. So there has to be sort of
I'm so sorry. That's gonna happen a few more times probably.
probably.
Okay.
So there certainly has to be something in what you're doing that is sort of like drawing this interest in what you're doing. Because if it didn't sound like rap at all, certainly there'd be no reason for anybody in that community to comment on it.
I agree. That is really cool. Yeah, that is really cool.
So
I'm very lucky.
You're a very lucky young boy. So let me ask you directly, in your opinion, since you're you and you might have a strong opinion on this. What is it that makes you so polarizing to people stumbling across you? Why do people hate you? Why do people hate you?
I don't know.
Come on, be honest. What
do you want me to tell you why everyone hates?
Serious introspective analysis and being a musician, being an artist, you probably have some kind of level of awareness of what people think is popular, what people think is bad, and why people are drawn to certain things. Why do you think people, whether it's positive or negative, see you on the microphone being kind of jittery and smiling and crying and frowning and laughing and spitting like this very vulnerable poetry, and they have such a visceral reaction to it?
Yeah. I think it's a few things. I think it's a few things. The music, and it's always kind of been like this, that like you either really love it or hate it. Like there's no kind of in between. Even before all this stuff happened, like no one's like, well, that's okay. Like not a lot of people, at least. Like
yeah, nobody's bored by it.
Yes, exactly. So it's more of like it's I think it's a bit of that, and also like Peach Cone was, I think, a weird song for that to break us, I guess. Like it's just a strange song for that to happen. Like I think if Romeo and Juliet would have did that, or one of the other songs, I don't think it would have been as much, because it's not like Peach Cone is like somewhat controversial, and a lot of people are saying that the lyrics like have misogyny in them, and that they're whatever it may be, like the friend zone shit. Like it's so that makes sense that they think that, even though I really don't think the song is about that at all. Like it's about keeping it to yourself, like loving. Like I fell in love with like my best friend, the only person I felt who ever loved me in my whole entire life. So I fell in love with the thought of like that. But the whole song is like about keeping it to yourself and like being supportive of their relationship. Even at the end, I tie it all together. If you find someone that loves you, like keep being with them. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of that. I think especially the song Peach Scone is can be interpreted very strangely.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit, because I think it's an interesting song topic, because to sort of reference that track and sort of write it off as just sort of like friend zone shit. I mean, as much as somebody might kind of find, I don't know, bitching or complaining about that kind of thing on the internet is very pitiful and very unlikable. It doesn't change the fact that when you're in an unrequited love situation, I mean, sure, at the end of the day, one might respect that, but it's not like those feelings just disappear. What do you do with them, especially if they're strong feelings? I mean, It's certainly much healthier to express them in a piece of art than it is to just kind of paint an entire gender with like a hateful brush, or become like a bitter, hateful person, or act out on that in kind of a violent way or something. So it's like, what's really the harm in just making a song about it?
Exactly, and that's like me making songs is me like getting out my inner like shit out, like, and nothing really more. So it's definitely like me not I'm not it. People are saying that I'm like mad at this girl. Like that's not what it is at all. Like it's just me getting out these fucking crazy thoughts out of my head. So
Yeah. And you know, I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about what you're doing. It seems like there is this willingness to just sort of just really kind of clean your head out and throw everything and anything out there. Excuse me. In such a way where I feel like you kind of blur the line between what feels normal and what feels crazy. Because I feel like in what you're doing and in what you're saying in your music, I think a lot of what you're expressing isn't too far-fetched from what your average person might feel in a myriad of different contexts. But just because somebody feels something in a certain moment doesn't necessarily mean that that thought means anything of significance to them or that they would act on those feelings. But to sort of acknowledge that they're there, I think, you know, can mean a whole lot. And so for a lot of people, I think they sort of see your videos, they see your performances, they see the things you say, and they almost sort of see you as being a person who's kind of like on the brink of insanity. And is that how you feel
Yeah.
in your day to day, or is that something that you feel like you just kind of put on for the performance aspect of it?
No, no, that's my goddamn everyday type shit, dude. It's especially more like this. Of course, has brought me so much happiness. This us doing well, me talking to fucking Anthony Fantano.
Shut the fuck
But
up and just answer the question.
okay, so sorry. Um, but but no, yeah, I'm fucking insane. Like that's fucking yeah. I can't hold a relationship together. I'm fucking sad all the time for some reason. Something's probably fucked up in my mind a little bit. But like, yeah, that's very fucking true. That's very true.
Well, you know, maybe something you could also give a little bit of insight to. Also, in the reception of your music, especially on YouTube, I see like dozens of comments pouring in of despite the fact that you say I can't hold a relationship together, you know, I have these emotional problems, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of love and appreciation from the fair sex in the YouTube comments of your videos, like, oh, he's so cute, or oh, he's so adorable, and you know, it sort of seems like maybe like a wounded baby bird type situation, and there are some people who sort of seem kind of sympathetic toward that and find it very endearing. I don't know if you have any kind of opinion on that, or if it seems like, you know, that's holding true for you.
I mean, yeah, I see them a lot, especially a lot of the messages and shit. And people like will text my phone. I don't know how the fuck they get my number, but yeah, it's not like they don't know who I am, so it's not real. Like I mean, they see the songs, but they don't like haven't met me before, so I don't really like. I kind of take it with a grain of salt. Like it's just a random.
Well, you know, that I think that presents an interesting question because certainly that's true, you know, for everybody and anybody who's making any kind of content or is in the public eye in any sort of way, that, you know, even though they're enjoying what you're doing, they don't really know you. They don't really know who you are, you know. But as you just said, a lot of what you say in your songs is your everyday. That's you trying to be as forthright and almost intense about it as you possibly can in a piece of art. So what exactly is sort of the separation between you and your music? What is it about just listening to your music that people don't get about you or will not or won't understand about you?
Hmm. It's a really good question. I don't even know. I feel like I do. I let it all out. I let it all out. I feel like I talk about everything I could talk about. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I think at times like they don't see like the flaws of people. Like from being an artist, you don't get to see the flaws, even though I talk openly about them. But like,
Yeah,
I
they
don't
see
know.
you've made a good piece of music and they assume, because everybody thinks everyone that makes a good piece of music is good.
Yeah, and they romanticize the person like they're like super great, but like I don't know. I try to be, but like I don't know. We all have like flaws. They'll like let's say I date one of those girls that fucking type all those comments. Like there's gonna be a point where like I'm gonna do something like kind of fucked up. Like it's I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to
I'm sorry. I'm
explain.
sorry we're getting too deep. I'm sorry we're getting
No,
too deep.
no.
But I thought this conversation would probably go there. So
I like that. That's fine. I just didn't know how to answer it.
all right. Well, next, another thing that you kind of mention in your songs quite often, or at least enough times for me to note, is you, especially in one track in particular, you communicate directly to like music labels. So what exactly are you kind of hoping is going to be the result of something like that? And especially with the attention that some of your songs have gotten online, certainly somebody's knocked on your door or made some kind of offer or something like, are you personally looking to kind of take your direction or take your music in that direction? Do you see what you're doing going mainstream as is, or do you feel like you're ready as an artist to maybe make concessions about what it is you want to do in order to appeal to a wider audience? Like, what exactly are your aspirations with that?
Yeah, so we're talking to everyone, and they're all talking and whatnot. But like the most important part for me is like keeping the art the way it is, or at least um like keep the most important part. I think that's why everyone likes it is like genuine, it's honest to myself. And I feel like a lot of people who sign to labels, some more than others, like just completely concede that and try and go for that pop. But I think I could do both. I think I could be myself and then also, you know, do really well in a mainstream. I think a song like Romeo and Juliet on the radio would be like this weird thing where people would be like, "Oh, what the fuck? Why is this super sad song here?" So, um, yeah, I just don't want them to fuck up the art. So we're trying to figure that out now with talking to all of them and saying, okay, who cares about the art the most? Who likes it the most? Who genuinely feels it? You know?
Yeah. And let me let me ask you about I guess kind of what I kind of sensed at first to be like a little bit of a grading quality to your music. That there was something almost like I'm not trying to be mean to you, but almost like, and I'm sure you're conscious of it, just something like a little bit almost unlikable about it, you know, and your delivery as well. But the thing is, I don't know, there was just something about that as I kind of listened to it more and more, that almost became like kind of a strength about it, because it's that unlikability that I feel like it comes from not necessarily you being a jerk, but from you kind of just kind of throwing your flaws out there in kind of a really aggressive way. And the result of that is, I feel like, for a lot of people who don't want to deal with too much too soon, it's almost like you're kind of just like throwing everything awful happening to you onto somebody else's lap.
Right.
And, it's sort of like they're either going to take it or they're not.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you said it better. You talked about me in your live stream, and you kind of said that like they see it like kind of weak, I guess is the thing. So I think the people who definitely like see me as that like weak people can see. I get it makes completely sense. It makes sense completely that they kind of just see me as this like weak guy who's talking about this girl who doesn't like it makes sense. Yeah.
No, and I think that is I think that is something unique for an artist to sort of be throwing out there, and I think it can be to that person's strength, because I think Cardi B is kind of an example of that. Certainly she's thrown her flaws out there onto the internet. She's thrown her weaknesses out there onto the internet. And at the end of the day, while it has earned her a lot of negativity, it's also earned her a lot of like hardcore fans who appreciate her for who she is as well. And I think that there's kind of a tendency on the internet to attack weakness. Especially when an artist is kind of like throwing out there something that they're particularly sensitive about, which is why I think so many people attack Logic in the way that they do. Even though like you can listen to a million of that guy's songs, and certainly I'm not crazy about everything he does, but it's not every fucking song that he's rapping about being biracial. You know what I mean? But because he clearly displayed that was something that was sort of sensitive to him and something that he cares about in a few tracks, it's like people just go at that over and over and over and over, and it's just non-fucking stop.
Totally. There's some weird dude from being on the other side of this. Like, there's some weird like you can see patterns in like psychological patterns of people. Like this is weird like psychological thing with people. Like it's quite strange with that. It's quite strange.
Is there a point up until now where maybe some of the response to your music, positive or negative, has been sort of a
I'm
little,
so sorry.
oh, it's fine. It
Okay.
has been a little bit more than you've bargained for,
Oh,
because
fuck yeah, dude.
with what you're doing, there is like a really, there is something like really potent emotionally and mentally about it, and people who, and clearly, like, sure, those are your real emotions, but clearly you're not like that 100% of the time,
How could I? Yeah, I'd
but
be dead.
sometimes the types of people who will resonate with that type of art so quickly are maybe on that level all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sort of becoming a conduit for people who feel that way can be, I'm sure, a bit of a burden to bear.
Right. Right. I mean, like, I feel like I go through phases of that stuff, and usually when I go through the phases, I'll write the song like "Alone Forever," like depressed for a fucking week, like slept all day. Like it's a bit of that. But I also going back to the earlier part, like I like it's been completely overwhelmed. Like my mom got doxxed on this like hate page for me, and
What?
like getting death threats, and like it was like the first 3 or 4 days of this shit was like
And this was
insane.
the first 3 days of like what, Peach Scone blowing up? That
Yeah,
was
peach
got
cone
it.
blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like everything started hitting like the third or fourth day. It was probably like the third to the fifth day, but like mom getting doxxed, like there's a hate page for me, and we worked really hard for 10,000 likes on Facebook. Like we put in a lot of fucking work. Like we tried for like years to do that, and then finally like a hate page springs up and it gets 10,000 fucking likes in like 2 days, and it's crazy. So yeah, it was too much to handle for me. But.
Well, now that you're kind of past that phase, do you feel almost like you've been initiated in a way, or that you're kind of handling it a little bit better, or people are maybe a little bit more used to what you're doing and maybe aren't so, I don't know, reacting to it so explosively?
Totally, yeah. I really think that with Unilad's posting and our posting, like we just maybe got shoved into everyone's face a little too much, and they reacted poorly to it. But now like there's not that type of reaction anymore. Like I don't think we'll get that reaction. I think people kind of know what it is now. It's not like this mysterious thing. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna.
So as
And
of
I'm
right,
getting thick skin.
oh, okay.
So
So as of right now, are you, I imagine you're probably still writing and recording. Is the stuff that you're working on currently pretty much in the same headspace as the music that you blew up on? Are you trying to stick to your guns knowing that that is what has worked for you so far? Or are you trying to push things forward, incorporate more genres, or change things up in some kind of way?
um, I don't know. I try to just let it happen, let it be natural. I already wrote the next album. I have like 9 of the 10 songs before all of this happened. So I think they're around the same. They're around the same like style. I think the next album's gonna be a lot darker, um, but it's around the same thing. Like Alone Forever is gonna be there. Guitar song, piano songs, this weird electronic track. Like it's all just a hodgepodge of shit. I guess.
And are you potentially planning on releasing this record on a label, or will this be kind of another independent release?
It depends on how much money they want to give me and how good the deal is. Pretty much like. Um, it's a tough thing to want to just give your masters to these fucking people. Like it's I don't know. I'm gonna see what all the deals look like and then decide from there. Like we can do it independent. Anyone can now. Um, it's just it kind of depends. Like what do I want? Do I want to be really big or just have what I have now? Like it's I have to decide. I'm not quite sure.
And another thing that I'd like to kind of ask you about, given that it does seem like it's a bit of a theme in your music, and I'm sure it's something that you'll have a personal opinion on and personal experience with. Just these ideas and the idea of mental health, I think, orbits around a lot of what you do. Personally, is that something that you feel like you struggle with day to day?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and in terms of that, I mean, are we talking about just like a certain vibe or feeling here? Or are we talking about like, some kind of serious diagnosis or something that you're dealing with day in and day out?
Yeah, I mean, I've never gone to the doctor. Actually, I've gone to the doctor one time, but like, I've never really pushed to try and figure out what the fuck's going on. But it's like some days it's like complete manic. I have anxiety all the time. Like I feel like that's almost my whole life. Like I'm anxious a lot, but I don't know. I think it's a mix of both. It's like I think I got something in my brain that I don't have enough serotonin. My dad's diagnosed for that. Like he's um, I just think the chemicals don't match up the right way. But I don't know. I definitely think that it's something that I have to deal with.
And in your experience, has this sort of growth in your career and everything you're doing with music and art, has this been, in your opinion, sort of a healthy outlet for you, a positive outlet for you? Has this given you sort of like a better outlook on things?
If I didn't do this, I would die for sure.
Okay, well
I,
that's pretty blunt,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I certainly sympathize with that feeling as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last question I wanted to ask you or one of the last questions to sort of close up is just, if you're doing okay today, are you getting enough water and vitamins, are you exercising properly, and, just like making sure you're getting, all your calories during the day and enough sleep and everything.
I really appreciate that. I am drinking enough water. You know, I really appreciate talking to you. Like I'm doing a lot better as of late. Like this has brought me a lot of happiness. I'm eating food multiple times a day. Everything's good.
Good. Okay. Well, that's all good. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me and just trying to give any insight to, what it is you're doing and sort of what this roller coaster ride has been like for you. Is there anything that you want to make sure the audience knows before we head out as far as things to look forward to, or, anything around the corner that you need them to be aware of?
We're gonna put Peach Going on Spotify sometime in the near future.
It's not even on Spotify yet?
It's not, no.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta get on there, start making that Spotify money.
Oh, I'm making some Spotify money, dude. I'm making a little bit. Our last album is doing all right, so I'm very thankful.
Oh, okay. So you're already doing some of it. Well, you got to get it up there. What's keeping you from doing it right now?
I don't know. My general laziness, I think, was the problem.
It's just get a DistroKid account. It's just a few clicks.
Yeah.
This video is not sponsored by DistroKid, I swear.
Yeah, but you can make some money, Anthony.
So well, I could make some money. Could I make some money uploading Peach Scone? Will you just? Well, I'll put it up there. Just send it to me.
Yo, you start a distro company, I'll be your first client.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So,
you're not doing that?
Maybe when I'm old.
Okay.
Maybe when I'm older. I'm already old.
Then let's keep in touch, dude.
Okay, we'll keep in touch. All right, well, thank you very much for coming on. We will put social media links and everything relevant that you guys need to know in order to keep up with Hobo Johnson down in the description box. And I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Okay, thank you so much. Real quick, can I talk to you after? Because I want to say something.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll be able to talk to me after. I wasn't going to hang up. I was literally just going to end the video.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So we're ending the video now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hobo Johnson.